Thank you, Nate. Let's take it to Canberra now for more on the changes the government is bringing in surrounding foreign investment in Australian businesses. We can bring in the Federal Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg. Treasurer, good morning to you. So
good morning, Michael.
How strict is this clampdown?
Well, obviously, these are very strict and unprecedented measures. We're abolishing the threshold for foreign investment proposals from $1.2 billion effectively for countries with whom we have a free trade agreement to zero. This is a precautionary measure. This is a temporary measure. This reflects the extraordinary times that we're in. And obviously, it's going to give the government greater visibility and scrutiny of foreign investment proposals to ensure that they remain in the national interest.
As a result of this, all foreign investment proposals, no matter the value, will be weighed against the national interest. Is this, Treasurer, aimed at China?
This is not one particular country. In fact, China last year was the fifth largest foreign investor in Australia, with investments of around $13 billion. This compares to the United States, which was the leading foreign investor with about $58 billion of foreign investment. But what is very clear to us, and namely and also the European Union and other countries around the world have actually said very clearly that they need, in these extraordinary times, to more strictly assess the foreign investments that are coming into Australia. And let's also bear in mind, Michael, that foreign investment has served Australia very well. 1 in 10 Australian jobs with businesses that have benefited from foreign investment. So we want to continue to capitalise on those opportunities, but we also want to ensure that proper scrutiny is undertaken.
On that front, there is concern in some quarters about two Chinese-owned property developers at the start of this crisis here in Australia buying in bulk hand sanitisers, face masks and the like, and shipping them in bulk back to China, meaning there are fewer of these things available to Australia. It may have been right legally, but what's your view of that sort of behaviour morally, Josh Frydenberg?
Well, obviously, I want to see these sort of products used for Australians. There's no doubt about that. But as you say, they didn't break the law. Was
it morally right?
Well, it's not for me to pass moral judgments. What it is for me to do is to enforce the law. And right now, I'm talking to you about a change to the law, a legislative change that sees that all foreign investment proposals get scrutinised by the government to ensure that they're in the national interest. Now, when it comes to assessing the national interest, David Irvine, the chairman of the Foreign Investment Review Board, has previously spelt out that issues such as the character of the investor, tax implications, competition implications and, of course, national security implications are all being assessed.
OK, to the looming announcement about wages help for employers to keep employees on the books in this so-called hibernation period. A figure of $1,500 per fortnight is being bandied about. Is that what Australian workers who lose their jobs can expect?
Look, I'm not going to confirm the number, but there will be an announcement today, Michael. And what Australians have learnt through this crisis is that the government has their back. Whether it was yesterday's announcement of over $1 billion of new measures for telehealth and mental health and domestic violence, whether it's the $189 billion of measures that the government has already announced to back small business and keep workers in their jobs, or whether it's the doubling of the safety net, effectively with the doubling of what was previously known as New Start and now is known as the job seeker payment. What we have always sought to do is to get Australians to the other side of this crisis, recognising how extraordinary it is and that we're facing two wars two wars at the same time, a health crisis and an economic crisis. And so the announcement today is all about providing additional income support and keeping employees connected to their employer, because once we get to the other side of this, we want the recovery to be as speedy as possible.
How quickly will these wage subsidies flow through to businesses?
Well, you'll have to turn on for later today. OK.
And why hasn't the government decided to go down the UK route of subsidising 80% of the workers' wages?
Well, the UK have a system for the UK, and their Chancellor of the Exchequer, my equivalent, has made it very clear that he's starting from scratch. He's building a new system. We have consistently sought to use our existing systems, namely the tax and the welfare system, to get support to people as quickly as possible. And today's announcement will build on our previous announcements, which are all about cushioning the blow for Australians who are doing it really tough right now.
Treasurer Josh Frydenberg in Canberra, thank you so much for joining us on News Breakfast.
Good to be with you, Michael.